Don't close this video. I know your hand has already gone towards the button. I know there's a voice inside you saying this is just another video, another promise, another waste of time. Pay attention. That voice is not yours. The same burden that has been wearing down your mind for months is precisely what doesn't want you to hear what God has set aside to reveal to you at this hour. A trap has been set for you. It's not a generic trap, the kind that catches anyone off guard. It's a custom-designed trap, assembled with surgical precision on top of your history, your fears, your oldest wounds. Someone studied you. Someone measured the weight you carry. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how this trap works, why it was set so early in your life, and why whoever set it made a fatal mistake. If you are over 35 years old and feel you carry a burden that no one else in your household carries, if you have cried alone in your car, in the garage, and then entered the house smiling, if you look back and see a trail of closed doors, friendships that vanished without a fight, opportunities that evaporated without logical explanation, then I need you to understand something today, and this thing will change how you look at every tear you've shed until now. Your pain has never been a manufacturing defect. Your pain is the signature of a calling. There's a brutal difference between a person who suffers because they made a mistake and a person who suffers because they were marked. And in the next few minutes, I will give you the exact signs to identify which of these two groups you are in. I will show you why the attacks in your life began even before you were old enough to defend yourself. I will show you why God allowed the desert, the silence, the distancing from the people you loved most. And I will show you how to transform this isolation that almost destroyed you into the greatest spiritual authority you have ever had. But I warn you, if you keep watching, you won't be able to go back to who you were. Knowledge creates responsibility. Once the eyes are open, no one pretends to be blind again. Take a deep breath. Let's begin. Before the first territory, stay with me for 30 seconds. What's coming now is not advertising, it's direction. It's no coincidence you're hearing this today. There's a signal that has been repeating in your soul for years, and you've never known how to name it. It's the restlessness of someone who has been set apart for something and hasn't yet assumed their post. And until you do, your faith is exposed, and your household is exposed along with it. That's why I've prepared a powerful digital book for you, The Chosen Syndrome, How to Turn Your Isolation into Your Supreme Authority. It contains what doesn't fit into a video, the map of attacks in each season of life, and the path to close the breaches that drain your household. The link is in the description and pinned to the top of the comments. A postponed calling becomes a delayed calling, and a delayed calling is never paid for by you alone. It's paid for by your loved ones. If your chest tightened just now, write Amen in the comments. Write it as if you were signing it. The first territory begins in the most obvious and overlooked place, your body. You wake up tired. It's not the fatigue of overwork. It's a weariness that sleep can't fix, that vacations can't solve. You lie down, and your mind keeps racing, reviewing bills, reviewing the faces of everyone who depends on you. You are the person everyone calls when the problem is big, and there's no one for you to call. You are the ringing phone. You are never the dialing hand. You sit at the Sunday table surrounded by people, hear laughter, and feel a loneliness so specific it aches in your body. The loneliness of being alone has a cure. Just call someone. The loneliness of being surrounded is something else. It's being among people who love your role and have never known your soul. They love what you solve. They love what you endure. If one day you stopped enduring, you would discover in 2 days how many were friends and how many were convenience. You already suspect this, that's why you never stop. Then come the doors. Doors that slammed shut in your face for no apparent reason. It's not that you weren't prepared, you were. The signed contract fell through. The promotion that was yours went to someone else. The opportunity you waited your whole life for came in the only month you weren't in a position to seize it. And you looked up at the sky and asked the most honest question a human heart can ask, Lord, why me? Always. And there was silence. We can endure fights. We can endure persecution. The silence of a father breaks us. And then comes the most dangerous sign because it has become a habit. You've learned to pretend. You walk into church and sing. You raise your hand. You say God is good all the time. And no one, absolutely no one, asks the one question you need to hear. How are you really? You are the strong one, and strong people don't receive visits, they receive demands. So you smile, you serve, you pray for others, and you go home with the same weight you brought. And on the way back, inside the car in the dark, you break down. Break. And no one sees. Hold on to that scene. It's the key to everything. Hold on to that scene because now comes the turning point. That's why I've prepared a powerful digital book for you. The Chosen Syndrome. How to turn your isolation into your supreme authority. Understanding the symptom brings relief. Only those who understand the cause can close the door through which the enemy enters your home. The link is in the description and pinned to the top of the comments. Go now. You've already postponed once, and you know what that postponement cost you. Listen closely, because I am about to utter the phrase that will rearrange your entire story. Hell doesn't attack those who are standing still. Hell attacks those who are on their way. No one dynamites a road that leads nowhere. No one sets up an ambush on empty terrain. If your life has been a battlefield from an early age, this is not proof that you have been forgotten. It is proof that you have been identified. Look at the scriptures, and you will see this pattern with terrifying clarity. When God was about to raise up a deliverer in Egypt, what happened? Pharaoh gave the order to kill the Hebrew boys. He didn't know who Moses was. He had no name, no face. But the kingdom of darkness smelled deliverance in the air and attacked an entire generation to try and hit one. When the Son of God was born in Bethlehem, what happened? Herod ordered the massacre of the children in the region. Again, he didn't know the name, he didn't know the house. He sensed the weight and attacked wholesale. This tells you something both terrible and liberating at the same time. Hell doesn't read your future. It has no access to the book, but it can sniff out weight. It senses when a soul carries oil, and when it senses it, it anticipates the attack, hoping to destroy the seed before it becomes a tree. That's why your childhood was what it was. That's why that happened to you at 7, at 9, at 12 years old. That's why you grew up hearing within your home that you were problematic, that you were too sensitive, that you were difficult. You were the child who saw what no one else saw and cried over what no one else cried over. It wasn't a disorder. It was spiritual sensitivity in a body that had not yet been trained. And the enemy, who is not omniscient but is observant, saw it before your mother saw it, before you yourself understood it. He saw it and said, "This one cannot grow." Now answer honestly in your heart. If you were trash, if your life were worthless, why so much effort to destroy you? No one places armed guards on an empty vault. No one hires an assassin to kill an irrelevant man. The size of the attack reveals the size of the treasure. But there is a second layer to this revelation, and this one is harder to swallow. Not everything that hurt in your life came from the enemy. Some pains came from God himself. There is an expression linked to C.S. Lewis, that English professor who lost his wife and wrote about pain like few others. Tough love. It's the idea that there is a love that doesn't give you what you ask for, because it is giving you what you need. Lewis said, in other words, that God whispers in our pleasures and shouts in our pains, because pain is the megaphone that awakens a deafening world. And you were awakened, weren't you? In the worst possible way. God allowed the desert. He allowed that job to end. He allowed that person to leave. He allowed 2 years, a decade of silence. And the desert is not punishment. The desert is an operating room. Surgery doesn't happen in the middle of a party. Surgery happens in an isolated place, with you lying down, immobilized, unable to do anything but trust the one holding the scalpel. That's why God isolated you, because he needed to remove things from you that you would never willingly give up. The need for approval, the addiction to being useful in order to be loved, the idolatry you had for certain people. All of this was cut away in the dark, and you swore you were dying. You were not dying, you were being operated on. And those people who distanced themselves exactly in your worst phase. Listen closely. They did not abandon you. They were removed. God removed hands that would have contaminated your oil. There are people who cannot be near you in your ascent because they knew you in your fall and will never be able to see you standing. There are people who love you small, and their love is sincere, but it is a love that needs you to remain small in order to continue to exist. God is too good to let you reach your calling carrying an anchor, so he cut the rope And you cried for the rope, not understanding that you were being set free. But there is a territory where this pain is deeper, a place that still bleeds when no one is looking. And it's not work, not church. Don't let your guard down yet, because the next territory where the enemy tried to surround you is the one that hurts the most. Your inner circle. The table. Before I open this door, take a breath. That's why I prepared the powerful digital book for you. The Chosen Syndrome, How to Turn Your Isolation into Your Supreme Authority. What comes next requires you to already be armed. The link is in the description and pinned to the top of the comments. Whoever enters this conversation unprotected comes out wounded. Whoever enters covered comes out crowned. Choose now. Your inner circle, the table in your home, the family group chat, your 20-year-old friends. This is where the trap is most cleverly set, because the enemy learned a long time ago. It's cheaper to use those who love you than to send those who hate you. Look at Joseph. Who threw him in the pit wasn't Egypt, it was his brothers. People of the same blood, same table, same father. And what angered them wasn't what Joseph did wrong. It was the dream he told. It was the future he carried. There are people around you who cannot forgive you for what God has placed within you. It's not conscious malice, it's a mirror. When you enter a room carrying purpose, you don't need to say anything. Your presence exposes the stagnation of those who are comfortable. And no one hates a mirror more than someone who doesn't like what they see. Look at Samson. The strongest man on earth wasn't brought down by an army. He was brought down in someone's lap, in a gentle conversation, in a question asked 4 times lovingly, until he gave away the secret of his own strength out of sheer exhaustion. Pay attention to this, because it's the exact mechanism of the trap they set for you. No one will face you head-on. They will wear you down. They will ask for just a little more. They will repeat the same question. They will say that if you truly loved them, you would do it. And one day, tired, you will give up what is holy in exchange for momentary peace. And when you wake up, your hair is on the floor, your strength is gone, and you can't explain how you got there. I want you to do a painful exercise now. Think about the 5 people you talk to most. Don't think about who loves you. Think about who, after an hour together, leaves you feeling lighter, and think about who, after an hour, leaves you feeling empty. There are people who leave your house taking a piece of your spirit with them in their bag. You sit on the sofa after the door closes and can't even get up. This has a name. This is spiritual leakage. And as long as there's leakage, you can pray all night long and the tank won't fill, because the problem isn't the faucet, it's the hole. If your spirit is recognizing this truth now, if a name came to your mind as I spoke, type 777 in the comments. It's not superstition. It's a marker. It's you registering the day you stopped pretending you didn't know. And now I will show you the final trap, the most sophisticated of all. Because everything I've described so far, the exhaustion, the betrayals, the doors, the loneliness, none of that was the goal. They were tools. The goal was one thing, to make you beg, to make you spend your whole life with your hand out, waiting to receive from people what only heaven can give. They made you believe you need to be approved to be valid, that you need to be invited to have a place, that you need that relative to recognize your worth, that you need that leader to finally see you, that you need your father even after death to say he's proud of you. And while you chase that human signature, you don't open the envelope that heaven has already signed. Paul wrote to the Romans, "Do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind." The word there is form. Don't let the world give you form, because the form the world gives is always the form of fitting in, and the chosen one doesn't fit. The chosen one is uncomfortable. The chosen one smells different. If you still fit in everywhere you are called, perhaps you have bent too much. So now we move from diagnosis to reverse surgery, the kind where you are not operated on, you are armed. Paul wrote to the Ephesians that we must put on the full armor of God so that we can stand against the schemes of the devil. Notice the word schemes, traps, he already knew. And notice that the armor doesn't come dressed on your body. It needs to be put on, every day, by you. God doesn't dress you in what your hand doesn't reach for. And I will give you piece by piece now, but not as beautiful theology, how to fight a real-life war when you're over 35 and the bills are due. The belt of truth is the first piece, and it's a belt because it holds everything else up. To put on the belt of truth is to stop lying to yourself. It's looking in the bathroom mirror and admitting, I am not okay. It's stopping the practice of calling an addiction to being needed dedication. It's recognizing that a relationship ended 3 years ago, and you're just holding onto the carcass out of fear. Without truth, everything else you put on will fall apart in the middle of battle. The breastplate of righteousness comes next, and it protects the chest. It protects the heart. Righteousness here isn't about being nice. It's understanding that your standing before God doesn't depend on your performance yesterday. The enemy is called the accuser because his main weapon isn't temptation, it's remembrance. He'll remind you of what you did in 2014. He'll bring up the faces of those you hurt. And he does it at the exact moment you raise your hands to worship. As long as you accept accusations in your chest, you fight wounded. Breastplate in place means saying, yes, I did it, yes, it hurt, and yes, I was forgiven, and the price was paid by someone better than me. Then come feet fitted with the readiness of the gospel of peace. This is posture, this is walking. Those with firm footing don't slip in the mud of provocation. You don't need to answer everyone. You don't need to explain yourself in the family group chat. You don't need to win Sunday's argument. There is a peace that is the fruit of chosen silence, not cowardice, and it is a weapon. The shield of faith comes to extinguish the flaming darts. Pay attention that the dart is flaming, meaning it doesn't just want to wound you, it wants to set you on fire. It wants you to react, it wants you to send that message at 11 at night. It wants you to post that passive-aggressive remark. It wants you to take out on your child what happened in the meeting. Shield raised is letting the dart hit without catching fire. The helmet of salvation protects the place where 90% of the war happens, your head. What you repeat to yourself before you sleep becomes prophecy. If you go to bed saying you won't succeed, you wake up with an escape plan. Helmet in place means guarding your thoughts as if you were guarding a border. And finally, the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word. And here's the detail that changes everything. The sword is the only offensive piece of armor. Everything else is defense. God gave you 6 pieces and 5 are for you to endure. This means a good part of the Christian victory isn't advancing, it's remaining. It's not leaving the place He put you. It's staying on your feet after the dust settles, when everyone who bet against you is gone. And notice how this sword is used. When the enemy came in the desert, Jesus didn't argue, didn't debate, didn't tell his own story. He said 3 times, "It is written." The sword isn't a shout. The sword is a short phrase spoken with authority. It's you at 3 in the morning, with your heart racing, declaring aloud what heaven has already spoken over your house. But putting on the armor without setting boundaries is like putting on armor and leaving the castle gate open. So we need to talk about ironclad boundaries. Nehemiah was on the wall, and the enemy sent a polite invitation. Come down here, let's talk on the plain. And he sent the most powerful response a man called can give. I am doing a great work and cannot come down. He didn't shout. He didn't humiliate anyone. He didn't give a long explanation. He just stated his position. And that's what you're going to do from today on. There are people in your life who only invite you to the plain. They only call you to their level. And you go down every time because you think going down is humility. Going down is not humility. Going down is desertion. Setting an ironclad boundary is saying no without writing a justification letter. It's turning off the phone at 10 at night. It's leaving that 7-minute voicemail for tomorrow. It's stopping yourself from solving a problem an adult created and an adult must solve. It's understanding that when you carry someone who should walk, you are not helping, you are paralyzing. And guilt will come. It always comes. It knocks on your door dressed as compassion. It says, but she's your mother, but he's your brother, but he was your friend for 20 years. And you will answer what Nehemiah answered. I am doing a great work. I cannot come down. When you do this, some will call you changed. They will say you are no longer the same. They will say you have hardened. Smile, because they are right. You are no longer the same. You have been operated on. The chosen do not beg for a seat. The chosen carry their own. And there is something I need to tell you about your home, because this is not just about you. Every boundary you don't set today, your child will inherit tomorrow. A child learns spiritual authority by watching, not by listening. They see you bow your head at the Sunday table and understand that that is their place too. They see you apologize for existing and learn to apologize for existing. When you rise, you do not rise alone. You lift a lineage. When you close a gap, you close a door that has been open for 3 generations. There is a cycle in your family that no one has had the courage to break, and you were not placed in this home by chance. You are the first to see, and those who see are responsible. Now, if you are sincere, there is a question tearing at your chest at this very moment. It is the question of one who has already donned their armor and still feels fragile. It is the question of one who hears all this and thinks, "But I have no strength. I am exhausted. I am no hero of anything." And that is precisely why I left this verse for last. In Revelation, in the letter to the Church of Philadelphia, it is written that he has opened before you a door that no one can close. And look at the reason he gives. Look closely, because it is the most beautiful thing in the entire text, because you have little strength and have kept my word. Little strength, not a lot. It is little. God did not open the door because of talent, charisma, number of followers, curriculum. He opened it because, even with little strength, you did not let go. You kept praying with a faltering voice. You kept going with a broken heart. You kept believing when everything told you to give up. And this is what hell could never understand. It thought that by weakening you, it was disqualifying you. But it was precisely weakness that qualified you. Here lies the fatal error of those who set the trap for you. All the pressure they put on your life served only one purpose: to compress. And what does compression do? It turns coal into diamond. They threw you into the pit for you to die. And you learned to interpret dreams in the dark. They took you to the desert to dry you out. And you discovered that there is water in rock. They isolated you so you would go crazy alone. And in the cell, alone, you learned to hear the voice you would never hear in the crowd. Isolation was never your punishment. Isolation was your formation. God did not take you from their table to leave you hungry. He took you away because he was preparing another table, and at that table, you are not a guest. You are the host. Now I need you to do something with me. Lift your face, even if you are on the bus, even if you are in the kitchen washing dishes, even if you are lying down at 3 in the morning with swollen eyes. Lift your face and declare, "I am not a victim of a difficult life. I am a target of a great calling. I was not forgotten, I was hidden. I was not rejected, I was set apart. My days of begging for approval ended today." And if your spirit responded to this declaration, if something rose within your chest as these words were spoken, write in the comments now. My armor is in place. Write as someone planting a flag in recaptured territory. Because from now on, when tiredness comes, and it will come, you will no longer ask, "Why me?" You will. To ask, what is being formed in me that hell so desperately wants to abort? When a door closes, you will not cry in front of it. You will remember that there is an open door that no one can close, and it was never behind you, it was always ahead. When that person ignores you again, you will not chase after them. You will understand that they stayed in your past because they didn't have a passport for your future. And when God's silence returns, and it does, because the desert has seasons, you will not interpret silence as absence. You will remember that in the operating room, the doctor doesn't chat. He operates. You are over 35 years old. You have wasted enough time apologizing for existing. You have shrunk enough in environments that didn't deserve even your shadow. You have dulled your own light to avoid embarrassing people who have never lit a candle for you. That ends today. Not because I said so, because heaven decreed it, and I was merely the voice you needed to hear at this exact moment. One last thing. What happened here was not entertainment. It was a summons. You did not fall into this video, you were brought here, and now you carry the weight of knowing. You can no longer go back to that table and shrink yourself. He who knows and does not act is worse off because conscience accuses. That is why I have prepared a powerful digital book for you. The Chosen Syndrome: How to Turn Your Isolation into Your Supreme Authority. It contains what did not fit here: the map of attacks, the boundaries name by name, and the reconstruction of your spiritual authority day after day. The official link is in the description and at the top of the comments. Go now while the fire is lit. Tomorrow, routine will try to extinguish what God ignited today. Leave your seal. Write in the comments, "I was restored and sent." The trap was set for you, but it failed. And it is you who walks with armor in place and an open door ahead.